Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our second Water Explorer Talk. And as we are settling in, I would like to invite all of you, if you haven't done so already, to change names into naming your organization and the place where you're currently based in. Thank you so much for doing that. And so today, as we're waiting for everybody to join, I'd like to walk you through our agenda, and it will start from with a speaker presentation that I would do in a minute, and then the talk that will last around 30 minutes. It will be then followed by a Q sorry. Okay, thank you so much. By the stories from Feed Networks, followed by a Q&A, a quiz time, and finally a surprise video. So let's start. And I am so excited to have today with us Alexander Schmidt. Alexander Schmidt is perfect. Alexander Schmidt is an underwater videographer, shark diving expert, and open ocean safari guide tour. So thank you so much for being here with us today, Alex.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor to be here.
And so I'd like to start this meeting, Alex, with asking you, how did you get into diving in the first place? I have seen all of your social media posts, and they were just so incredible. How much of the marine life you have already explored out there. And so I wanted to know how did you, of course, created this passion, and how did you manage to turn this passion into an actual job?
Well, my whole life I've
We
been really into.
cannot hear you, Alex.
One second. Can you hear me now?
We cannot hear you. Try
Check,
again.
check. Hello.
No.
Isabel, we can hear.
Oh, okay. But we can't.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, I have it.
Sorry about
Let's try again.
No problem.
Perfect. I can now hear you perfectly. Okay, sorry for that. But
No worries.
go ahead.
Well, my whole life I've been really into wildlife, just in general. It wasn't only about the ocean. Since a young age, since I was 6 years old, since I can remember, I was obsessed with Animal Planet, Nat Geo, Discovery, and all of the documentaries. I definitely saw some of them repeated episodes, and just like instead of watching cartoons, I was probably watching Animal Planet all the time. And then when I was 13 years old, my father wanted to take me diving because he had this special deal with a dive shop that he helped open in a hotel that he was working. And they were so grateful with him that they were like, hey, like, go and dive for free anytime you want. And then he was like, my eardrum is broken. I can't go, but I'll send my son. I didn't want to go. I was completely opposed to it. But then they forced me to do it. And after my first dive at 13 years old, I was completely obsessed, and I started diving a lot. And by the age of 15, 16, I already had around 300 dives, and I was already very hooked with it. But I was only looking the surface of the diving scheme of things because I was just diving in the Caribbean. And then slowly, every time I had time off, I was trying to get in a body of water, swim anywhere it was possible, take a photo or whatever. I had this little small disposable camera, and I'll keep buying different ones just to take photos and show my dad what I was seeing. And then slowly, I realized that that's what I wanted to do, that was my passion. But I thought it was going to be a hobby. Like I needed to work really, really hard in order to spend all that money in my hobby. So I started doing that. I started working as a waiter, bartender, cleaning toilets, pool attendant, like you name it. I did a lot of different jobs, and every time I was off, I was diving. And then during my time working abroad, I was working in ships for a very long time, in cruise ships actually, and I would love to talk about it in a little bit later. Um, it gave me the opportunity to travel more and to see other places and to start understanding free diving. I did my first courses of freediving while I was working there, and then when I did freediving the first time, and when you are relaxed and you learn to control your breathing and your heartbeat, and you
Mhm.
spend a longer amount of time without a tank underwater, there is a different connection. It like flips the script. I never
Mhm.
chose between scuba or freediving. I think they both have incredible benefits and both are very incredible. But definitely freediving has a more close momentum with the animals and in a connection, I would say,
Yeah, it sounds like
because
really an adventure. It's yeah, you go
yeah,
on for.
you come
Mhm.
into terms with nature and you kind of like sacrifice the way that we breathe to be with them. And I feel like there's a reward with it.
Mhm.
So then I started doing a lot of pictures and videos in social media, and that made social media grow and grow. And then when I started to get into sharks, I went, first ever expedition was the Silent Hunter Group expedition with the
Mhm.
Dr. Tristan Goodrich. He's very renowned. He's always in a lot of different episodes of Nat Geo, Discovery Shark Week, and all of these things. And I just booked this trip to learn more and to see more sharks in my
Yeah,
vacation. And when I went there and I saw the work that we're doing, that we're tagging sharks and at the same time capturing photos and videos, I was completely obsessed. And I was like, I am gonna do everything in my power to
wow.
become Tristan. Like I want to be like him.
Yeah.
And
And weren't you scared about it? You were just excited about it.
well,
That's mhm.
I mean, sharks, I've never, like, I've always read a lot about the myth and all of this about how sharks don't eat people, that they
Mhm.
are simply beautiful, bigger fish in the open ocean with a specific role. And that all
Yeah.
these attacks have been sometimes our fault, and sometimes a shark has done a misconception in their behavior and they did a bite. Then kind of like let it out because it's not part of their diet, and then the person normally bleeds out, but it's not because the shark
Absolutely.
ate the person. So I don't know. In general, learn a lot there and started doing a lot of photos and videos. And after that, um, I understood the power that the photos and videos and social media have because I was one
Absolutely.
of those
Mhm.
people. I was a person behind the screen looking at Tristan or Ocean Ramsey or different pages that, oh my God, that looks so cool. Look how he's diving with the sharks. And made me get into it. And it changed my life completely. So if he did it with me, then I can do that to other people. So then that's how I started to really put effort to photography and videography. And now there's people around the world, maybe in an office, maybe in a really cold place or in a building, being a little bit closer to the ocean. And in
Oh
that
yes,
way, we build
absolutely.
the
Yeah.
bridge
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then they
That
can
that was
start
that was me
understanding and
really. Yeah,
knowing.
that was me back in February, looking at all your videos here in Copenhagen with lots of snow, and I was just so impressed by all the videos and photos that you took, and honestly, by all the things that you've tell us so far. First of all, it really looks like you had an incredible childhood, and definitely not a normal one. And so, since you had so much years of experience, I wanted to ask you if there was maybe one most memorable expedition that you really liked. I know that you've been to Antarctica and just now been to Patagonia. So I guess that honestly, every one of them is a special one. But was there maybe a special moment or very, very, very memorable expedition that you want to share with us today?
Mm, I would say definitely the first time that I went to Galapagos and
Mm.
also the Patagonia orcas. Galapagos was really special because there are places that you dream of, and in a
Mhm.
way, you kind of forget that they were part of your dream. And when you step on it and when you get there, you remember, oh my goodness, like this was a lifelong dream
Yeah.
since I was
Mhm.
6 years old. Like the young me right now is having a party. Like this is
Yeah, yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Just being in the place and seeing the protection, because Galapagos is a case of success. A lot of places like Baja, French Polynesia, Maldives, they have a lot of marine life, but the
Mhm.
regulation is not properly in place. They're trying, they're doing a lot of efforts to put protection in place so that ecotourism it doesn't overwhelm the area. But Galapagos has so much marine life, so much tourism, and they
Wow.
figure out a way to regulate it and to prioritize the well-being of nature. So, like to see that relationship of how human beings can actually enjoy an ecosystem with having the least amount of impact and bringing people to fall in love with nature was a
Really,
highlight for me
it is.
because I think like we can take some of that and apply it in Baja, Maldives, or other places. So it was really special. But the
Yeah.
Patagonia Orcas, uh, it's not an expedition where I was thinking on bringing groups of people. It was more for like a
Mhm.
personal goal to try and
Mhm.
see. But if you guys know nature, it's unpredictable. You can never guarantee any encounter in
Always.
nature.
Absolutely.
So came with an open heart, see what happens. Spend hours and hours walking around, sitting on beaches, waiting for reports. It was a very, very long game. And then
Absolutely.
suddenly they tell us there's orcas coming. Okay, perfect. I see them. They're beautiful, always just to see them. And then suddenly they start scouting the beaches. They come really close to shore. And then suddenly the attack happened, and you're looking at this giant male 45-year-old orca
Yeah.
beach itself, grab a sea lion, and everything's silent. And you can just hear the sea lion screaming and the tail of the orca slapping the water. And all of these sounds, you never imagine them. You imagine maybe happens, maybe doesn't. But when you have it 10 meters away from you doing all of that, it was
Totally.
definitely
Mhm.
raw power of nature and
Mhm.
just maximizes and humbles you of like we are just
So
here
little.
like
Yes,
as a
totally. And
grain of sand.
yes, and actually, really building on that, a question that I had also looking throughout the social media post and even looking at this picture, I was so curious to even know what is the feeling or a word that you like to share with us of crossing eyes with like those giants, those marine giants, like a whale or a shark. Do you feel they are like talking to you, or like what do you feel when you're just there and you cross eyes?
There is definitely with sharks, they look at you, they are aware of you. They don't really know at the beginning if you're predator or prey. But once
Hmm.
you lock eyes with them and stay in distance, they're like, okay, they are just another big fish or another being that is in the
Right.
area that has nothing to do with me. But there's not that really a connection because sharks do see you, they can feel you with the ampulla
Mhm.
florency, they can feel electromagnetic fields, but they act through instinct. So they have instinctive behavior. They move around. I can eat this, I cannot eat that, I continue
Mhm.
moving. But with the cetaceans, dolphins, and any type of whales and stuff, they do have emotions, they do have a spatial intelligence. So whenever you look eyes with them, there's definitely something deeper and something more powerful going on.
Mhm.
And sometimes you have interactions. I've had really, really special moments with pilot whales, with bottlenose dolphins, and one time with an orca also, where this particular case that we had this dolphin in the Galapagos, I was coming out of a dive uh, with a really good friend. And when we came out of the dive, we were going up to the surface and we were in Darwin. The rest of the group had been taken away with the current, and we went up completely alone. And this dolphin just came in between us and just started like coming really close to our faces. And I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not allowed to touch these animals. So I was just keeping my hands
Mhm.
to myself like this. And he was coming just like right up to my face,
Wow.
but he was
Because
putting
you
his
can
eye
control
on my
nature.
eye
Mhm.
and just trying to look at me
Mhm.
more and just examine us, and then started swimming really fast around us, and then just breached out of the water, came back down, and just like, what is he trying to do? What is the there's definitely something else that he wanted to say or do or examine
Mm.
beyond instinctive behavior. There was
Yeah.
nothing there that benefits him in terms of like a meal or anything else.
Mhm. And
So I
I
don't
would
know,
say
but
that.
cetaceans are
Mhm.
definitely very, very special.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They are curious like us, like sometimes we just, when we think about fish, we don't really empathize with them or thinking that they could have emotions just like us and they're curious or they're scared. And they really are humane in this sense. And I wanted to ask you also if what is the main current project that you are handling at this moment? Because I know you are in Mexico. And
Mhm.
what is the biggest project that you're working on right now?
We have two very big projects in terms of conservation. So we have a company that's Apex Ocean Divers, and the other one is Apex Ocean Travel. Apex Ocean Travel is all the abroad expeditions, liveaboards, dive resorts, and stuff like this. And Apex Ocean Divers is the company based in Mexico. With Apex Ocean Divers, we're working with Whale Shark Mexico. We are inviting the scientists on board our boats, so our tours work as a platform for the scientists to be able to be out there. And we look for whale sharks, and we have done a couple biopsies and identified five new whale sharks in the area in the last month. And we have purchased a satellite tag that we want to put on in within the next month on adult whale sharks to understand more where do they go and where do they come from. Because the most interesting thing about these whale sharks is that most of these animals are new individuals. All the big female
Mm.
whale sharks that come to the area have normally been new individuals. I think there's only one that has been a repeated sighting. So that for us is super fascinating. Where all these giants coming from and never coming back? Like what's going on? So we're trying to put that satellite tag in the next month. So we'll keep you updated
Mhm.
with that. And
That's
then
incredible.
the other project with Apex Ocean Travel, we're working with an organization called Pelagios Caculla and the Dr. Mauricio Hoyos to also serve as a platform for them to come. And this time in Socorro, we did 30 biopsies on oceanic mantas to study the mucus of the manta, to see if there's any repercussions on like the pollutants of the ocean and the food that they're eating and everything. And that study is ongoing right now. We haven't got the results yet, but we also got a satellite tag that we're going to be placing this next June on an oceanic manta in the Sea of Cortez to continue understanding if the mantas between Socorro Archipelago and the ones that are seen here in the Gulf of California are the same ones or they go to different places.
Wow.
So we
That's
are very excited to be able
mhm.
to support these organizations. We like to be hands-on. Of course, we love to donate and support many different organizations, but whenever we support organizations, we like them to be on board, to be able to do the work with
Of
us
course.
so that we do more citizens and science project and the guests can learn more about the ecosystem.
Citizen Science Project is a very, very important one way to also research and get everybody also on board. So it's honestly they really sound as amazing projects. And as I would like to continue my discussion with you, I'd like also to tackle the part that's that involves also challenges of this work. For example, was there ever a moment where you felt that when you were underneath working, that you understood how fragile these ecosystem actually are and how fragile marine animals are?
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately there is a couple. I've
Mhm.
had a couple encounters of entangled animals, sharks hooked in these long lines. I've had a pilot whale entanglement, and I would say the first shark that I saw alive on a hook um, was really disturbing. There is a season
Mhm.
here in Mexico that you're allowed to fish sharks, or the artisanal fishers are allowed to go get sharks. But this was outside the window of shark fishing. And so it was an illegal hook with a buoy that was in the middle of the ocean. And there was
Mhm.
this mako shark that was alive and just like struggling to go away. So this buoy is like tied up with a rope down to the bottom. So it cannot escape. It's just going in circles around. And that season, we didn't see that many makos. And the only mako I saw during the season was hooked on a line. And it was a female, almost a 3 meter long or 9 feet long, beautiful female mako shark. And it's just like, oh, that's why we're not seeing them. Like they're being fished and they're being struggling.
Of
One thing is
course.
to hear it, but when you look at it and you look at it struggling and almost dying, because sharks need to keep swimming to not drown, to breathe.
Yes.
Immediately we got hands on, we released it, but then also like got into my head on to what else can we do to support this. And to be very honest with you, a lot of people are devoted to give their life into like dark, like a space of conservation, which is really, really
Hmm.
powerful. But from my side, I do want to be optimistic in my content and what I do. I want to be that part that when people look, feel good about it, but they fall in love with the ocean to then protect it. And so, even though we've had a lot of very horrible moments or very sad moments to see, most likely in my content, you'll see happy, beautiful things because I feel like there's enough of that
Yeah,
dark side out there.
totally.
I
Mhm.
will take care of the part of maybe showing beauty for people to fall in love with
Exactly.
it.
Mhm.
Um, and then the pilot whale, I think that's the most remarkable, heartbreaking, beautiful moment of my life because we were in the Gulf of California looking for animals. We are working with Whale Shark Mexico to look for whale sharks, and we have a permit to fly a plane and to look for marine life and to find the whale shark to be able to tag it. And the pilot found the entangled pilot whale. And he's like, hey, like who's closer to this animal? We have an entangled pilot whale. And we're like, oh, we have to call the regulations to come over to help this animal out. So I'll go there while they arrive. We got there and it was really far away from
Mhm.
any help. We were like 50 miles from the closest um, boat that could help. And then we didn't have any more signal to wait longer. So we are like, let's try and help her out. So we got in the water, uh, just two of us, and we approached really, really gently to this animal through their eyesight so that he knew that we weren't a threat. And we went very
Mhm.
slowly. And it was a male pilot whale fully grown. And in Baja, we have the bigger type of pilot whale. This animal was huge, really, really big, extremely strong and still alive, just
Mhm.
completely covered in this illegal net that targets turtles and sharks and other things. And I looked at it and it just felt, as soon as I started removing the net, it just like dropped the strength down, kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm here with you. Like I'll help you
Mhm.
help me. And
Yeah.
like even he had entangled around the pectoral fin and I needed to move it. So I kind of like
Okay.
pushed a little the fin and he moved it for me. So like to help him remove it. And then he was just looking at me what I was doing. And I just started removing the net. And as I was going on that, I was just could feel this like anger through the whole time that I was removing the net. I was like, I am so sorry we did this to you. Like
Totally. It
that
really
while
is.
everybody,
Mhm. Yes. It's
no,
always
sorry,
like
it's,
that us as individuals, sometimes we feel so powerless, like in front of this. Like I can only imagine from what you've just narrated, the how do you feel powerless? But in the same moments, you acted, and it's just so important for each and one of us to feel actually powerful, and that we are capable to do action, and we are powerful actually to change the way that we want the future to be. And this is exactly how I want to continue this this webinar with you. And I want to ask you, the classical 1 billion question, 1 billion euros question. If you had a megaphone, imagine you had a megaphone and everybody on earth could hear you, what would you say to make everybody understand how important it is to protect our ocean and what it takes to do it, and how we can, help protect it?
I mean, it's not because I work in the ocean, but the ocean is the most important ecosystem in the fight against
Hmm.
climate change and is the
Totally.
mother and father of all life. So you don't turn your back to your mother or you don't insult your mother or your father, you love them, you praise them, you honor them. And it's exactly the same thing with the ocean. All life, all trees, everything we see came from the sea. So it
Mhm.
doesn't make any sense that at this point that is in desperate need, we just turn back to look into other things. And listen, forests are very important, and every ecosystem is super important. But the amount of oxygen that the ocean produces, and how it sinks carbon, and how the whales have this power of like taking all this carbon into the ocean in just this incredible interconnected system, it creates a planet that is not planet Earth, it's planet water,
It's
it's
our
planet
blue
ocean.
planet, exactly. That's why our planet is
So
called the blue planet. And as you said, in fact, I think that there is sometimes not much knowledge about the ocean. Like not many people, for example, know that
true.
50% of our oxygen actually comes from phytoplankton on the ocean, or that 97%, like almost 70% of the whole Earth is covered by the ocean. And as you know, just said, it's called the blue planet. And I actually wanted to continue with saying a quote of David Attenborough that was so powerful for me, and that it is, once you've seen the ocean, you will never look at Earth in the same way again. And so I wanted to ask you, how actually do you feel with this sentence? Do you agree on that? And
Oh yeah,
what
for
changed maybe
sure.
your perspective? Mhm.
I have a hypothesis that everybody's obsessed with the ocean, but they don't know yet. Like it's every time that we have a person that comes on the tour for the first time, you can see them change. Oh, I never done anything like this. I snorkel maybe once or
That's
twice. I don't
interesting.
know what I'm doing. And then they go out there and they see dolphins and a whale and like mobulas, or you take them diving somewhere incredible and they get the first interaction with a manta or something. Automatically when they come out of the water, they're like, what exactly just happened? Like,
Yeah.
what was that? And
Mhm.
then they can't stop. It's an addiction, and it's a very healthy addiction. So this is why I am so grateful with the job that I have to be able to build that connection between people and the ocean.
Totally. I truly believe that it changes your perspective on everything. Like the next day that you walk on land after having this experience, you definitely will not look at that in the same way, and you will also have more. You will take a lot more care on the ocean. And going on the next and last main question, I wanted to, since we have a huge audience here on young people, for example, from our Wiry program, Leaf, and Eco Schools. So they are people at schools that are just so interested in getting to more in the field of environment. And sometimes I believe that people think that in order to, deal with this, you need to be a scientist or a researcher. But it's so also so important to be a storyteller, underwater photographer like you. So I would like to ask you, what do you think are the best three pieces of advice that you would give to someone that is approaching, let's say, this kind of career?
Of course. I think number one, speak the language of the person that you want to become. It's a very big advice that I was given by one of my managers before, and it's just start acting as a
Mhm.
diver, start acting as a passionate ocean conservationist, start acting as an ocean storyteller,
I
and you
love
will
it.
become one.
Mhm.
Feel like if you embrace, embody who you want to be in this present moment, you will become it. The second one is we are here to think, not to work hard. A lot of people, like, we are so overstimulated by so
Yes.
many screens, information, and everything that's happening all at once, responsibilities, taxes, laws, politics, everything. So thinking is very important with nothing else. To just sit
Mhm.
down 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, in the mornings, in the afternoon, evening, whenever, away from everything, and just think for a second, what am I doing next? What are my steps? Why am I here? How do I feel? Look at the sky, be present. All these ideas will come to your mind to create. And I feel like that has changed my life and helped me achieve my dreams. And speaking about dreams, like a lot of people have this big question, or a lot of young people, including myself, had this issue between like 19 to 23 years old of like, what's my purpose? What should I do with this life? Like, I'm gonna
Really,
die
every
one
one
day.
of
What am
us.
I gonna do?
Mhm.
And I understood with my personal path that my biggest dream was my purpose. And I think that this can apply to everybody. Whatever your biggest dream is, if it's, in my case, I wrote it down in a paper, it was like to become a tool for the ocean, to be used for its preservation, however it is. That was my biggest dream. And I realized that that was my purpose. And now that I'm living it, I recommend everyone just find your dream and then
Yeah.
do only that. Don't do anything else, and automatically you will achieve your purpose.
Totally. Yes. And I actually, what you just said reminded me of a very famous quote from Jane Goodall that said, everybody has a purpose. Find your reason and do your bit. And this is just so important because every one of us is responsible and is a little, puzzle adding it to the general frame. And everyone should really feel empowered to do their bit because we all need each other. And then the last question I wanted to ask you, as you know, we are ending this very inspiring conversation. How do you think that your work as an ocean videographer is helping raise awareness and sensitivity towards the protection of marine life, ocean life, and a sort of, general note to end this conversation?
There's three things. I think one of them, it creates a huge database through the last 6 years in particular. I have everything separated by location, dates, species, and everything that we have documented. So when we look back, we can be like, oh, uh, French Polynesia, October 2024, it was like this. It was this amount of sharks. It was this amount of females and males, and we have proof. So at the end of the story is a lot of documenting for to use for science as a database, which is something that we're working on with our intern. The other thing is to, as we talked at the beginning, to build a bridge between the people that are not in the ocean and the people I'm sorry, in the
Yes.
animals, to kind of like bring them closer and to have an underwater encounter. I always try in my encounters, how can I position myself for the animal to choose to come to interact? Okay, I'll put myself here and I wait a little, maybe not move too much, see if he wants to come. And then when they do, it's almost creating this perspective as if the animal is swimming towards you in your office or whatever you are. And that creates this sense of connection between the person watching the screen and the animal. And I feel like that gives them a stage. It can be anything. It can be a pufferfish, it can be a triggerfish, it can be a turtle, it can be a dolphin, it can be
Totally.
a shark or a massive whale shark. But I want to do that and be able to make people be like, oh my God, that was beautiful. Okay, what can I do today to protect the ocean? And the other thing is also a personal thing. I feel like the ocean changed my life into being more in the present moment. Being underwater is like a express ticket to mindfulness, and I feel like being underwater just bring me straight to the present and keeps all the noise away from society or the media or whatever. And then you can just appreciate that we are all interconnected and by just looking at it underwater. So I hope that that helps others to do the same.
Absolutely. And really what you are doing is just so inspiring and beautiful and so important because I also truly believe that if we care for the planet, then can all be saved. And so thank you so much for this very inspiring conversation. And we will talk to you in a bit for our Q&A. But for now, we are going to share together with Olivia Kopse, our director of Eco School and Nika Campus here at FEE, 3 very inspiring stories from the FEE network. Thank you, Olivia.
Thank you so much. And thanks so much, Alex, for that really inspiring story. I mean, so it's wonderful to hear from someone who has been able to forge a career about something that you're so passionate about. You know, a career in marine photography and marine biology is something that many people dream of, but also, you know, your actual existence. I think it's not just a career, but it's a life where you are part of the ecosystem that you love so much and you understand deeply your own part, you know, your own role within that ecosystem. And that's something really inspiring to us, and especially across our network at FEE, we have more than 54,000 schools in over 100 countries that are all working to try to do the same thing to help young people understand their own connection and to the ecosystems which they're part of, not above, not there just for their use, but part of the ecosystem. And that story is something we're really working hard to tell. So thank you so much for helping us to do that today and inspiring us. And of course, while not every school that we work with is located on the coast, every action that those schools are taking, from how they consume resources, how they manage waste, how they work to protect local biodiversity, does impact the health of the seas. And you said the ocean is the most important ecosystem in the fight against climate change. So in turn, the ocean shapes all of our lives by regulating climate, supporting biodiversity, producing oxygen, and sustaining communities around the world. So we are all part of this interconnected world, and it's really important, I think, to make that point as well. And what I'm excited to share with you some of the ways that our schools are working on their own ecosystems, and particularly their own marine-based ecosystems, through hands-on learning, local action, and community engagement brought into their education system. So the first one I will just tell you about comes from Qatar. As you know, we're a network of organisations running FEE programmes. This case study comes from our member, the Earthner Foundation, and it's been developed by Dr. Asper and Ruba Hinawi, who have developed a very beautiful and engaging education resource package, which their teachers are using to help students explore the vital role that mangrove ecosystems play in protecting both people and nature. Students using the resources, learning how mangroves reduce coastal erosion, filter pollution, provide habitats for wildlife, and capture carbon. And all of that, of course, is helping to combat climate change. By combining classroom learning with creative activities, discussions, and problem solving on real world issues, the students are able to understand the environmental challenges which are facing the mangroves. And looking at how issues such as urban development, biodiversity loss, looking at those issues critically, to really consider how human impacts impacting fragile ecosystems. So all of the work that we do in FEE is really focusing on hands-on, practical outdoor learning. Students visit the mangroves, they observe the wildlife in their habitat and connect that to the classroom-based learning, and also the knowledge of local community members to help them to build a deeper emotional connection to the nature around them, and inspire them to value and protect the ecosystems in the future. So that's such an exciting project, and we're very happy to have those resources as something that we can recommend to others. So the next one, just moving to the next slide. Thank you. This one is coming from Slovenia, so quite a way away from Qatar, as I mentioned. Eco Schools alone is in 106 countries. This one is a school-based project. Again, our member Doves, FEE Slovenia, works with many schools, eco schools, on different projects related specifically to their own local environment. At this Slovenian eco school, one teacher used the occasion of World Oceans Day to create an immersive learning experience focused on the importance of marine life and the consequences of biodiversity loss. This teacher worked with a slightly younger age group, between 7 and 12 years old, but still focused on project-based learning, and focused particularly on fish. And you can imagine that when you're working with younger students, using fish as a species can be really inspiring and a creative approach, with many different ways to explore fishes, how they look, how they function. But this particularly looked at the role that fish play in maintaining healthy oceans and ecosystems, whilst reflecting on human actions also affect these ecosystems, so the habitat of the fish. So the students were encouraged to think critically about pollution, sustainability, and environmental responsibility. They did quizzes, group discussions, reflective exercises, and one particular thing that we liked about this was a video that they shared with us called Fishy the Fish, which used fish as a character to introduce the students to their key threats affecting marine life. So you can use storytelling, discussion, interactive learning to make a really creative and engaging and memorable learning experience focused on the marine environment. And we loved that about that case study from Slovenia. And then finally, we have a really active student-led participative program from Norway. So our member FEE Norway shared this example from students at Farson Secondary School, who are playing a very active and leading role in restoring and protecting the unique dune landscapes and coastal diversity of a place called Lomsensanden. So I'm sorry about that. Lomsensanden, working in partnership with local authorities and community members. Students are working to contribute to long-term ecosystem restoration whilst also learning about the importance of biodiversity. So throughout the years, students help manage invasive plant species. They and plant species such as sea ergo, a native species, an important coastal plant that supports local biodiversity. They're also planting kelp. So assuming that means it's moving into the water environment as well to strengthen and nourish the wider marine ecosystem over time. And alongside this restoration work, they're investigating the impacts of marine litter and plastic pollution on coastal environments. So this gives them a really strong link. They're doing the management, they're doing the restoration, but they're also looking at wider behaviours and how those can be influenced. And I always think that, and you, Alex, mentioned the story of how you got involved. This is another lovely example of how students being given opportunity to participate in local conservation efforts can set their own tracks in place for a career in the environment and conservation, which is always wonderful to see. But whether you end up with a career in it or whether it ends up being a long-term passion or deep connection, all of these efforts that are happening across these schools are building a more sustainable future. And of course, a lot of this work is happening in the context of the Greening Education Partnership. This is a worldwide global initiative led by the UN, which we're very much a part of, which is bringing together organisations that are all working towards the big target of greening 50% of the world's schools by 2030. But I think examples that we've seen today in those 3 examples, and also the amazing stories and that you've told today, Alex, shows that the future of sustainable education is not just green, it's also blue. And how can we work together as a network to bring these stories out and to expand these amazing practices and share inspiration. But That's my three examples for today, and I think we're going to move on to some questions from the audience.
Thank you so much, Olivia, for showcasing those incredible 3 case studies. And yes, as you've mentioned, we're now going to move into a Q&A session. And I already can see some question in the chat for Alex. Someone is asking, have you ever visited Gozo in Malta? And if there are any species of shark and I would like to add also, if there is any places that you have not yet been, which might be hard, that you'd really like to dive in.
I have visited Malta, and unfortunately, I did not see sharks and stuff. I know that there's some makos and blue stuff around the area, but I am not an expert of the area, so I couldn't tell you much. But I have visited. It's a beautiful place. I would love to get back. And places that I really want to go that I haven't been. Philippines is one at the top of my list. I really want to go see the treasure sharks over there, and also Japan. Japan and Philippines are at the top of the list right now.
Absolutely. And I actually have another question, but more about the diving itself, because the question is, diving can be an expensive hobby. Are there any ideas on how to also have young people closer to it, or making it free, for example, or making more accessible to them? Because I remember from what you said, you had a very amazing opportunity to go there for free. But would you have any tip on that?
I think like something I understood to become who I am today is get in the water whenever you can. Like every opportunity that you have, take it to get in the water. Buy a mask and a pair of fins, and then just get in the water all the time. You don't really need to go with a tank. So if you have your own fins and your own mask, and you have a body of water, go for an hour and a half, explore it, look what is around, watch the behaviors of the animals. And every single time that you go in the water, you will notice something different and you will learn something new. There's nothing like, you can read a lot of the ocean in the internet, we can use AI, we can watch documentaries, but there's nothing as powerful as seeing it with your own eyes. So I feel like just getting the water doesn't have to be an expensive hobby. You can also just go swim and snorkel around.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think that kids have the most powerful tool, which is curiosity. And they really can create, maybe even out of nowhere, something so beautiful. And so, yeah, just getting out there is an amazing tip. And actually, I have a question here, but this is also one that I wanted to ask you before. Was there ever like a dangerous underwater situation while you were filming or photographing, and you thought, okay, I should really not be there, or like I need to find a solution now to this problem? Was there ever?
Yeah, I have two of those. There was one time that I was in Maldives and we were looking for thresher sharks, but the thresher sharks in Maldives are in very deep water. And I ended up filming a thresher shark around 49 meters deep, and I ended up going deeper and deeper with this animal until I was surrounded by 4 or 5 thresher sharks, and my computer was beeping like crazy because now I was like a 52 meters deep, and you cannot spend that much time on air at that depth. So when I started going, I had to go because I started to feel like the narcosis and everything. And when I started to go up, I reached to do the safety stops, and I had to do 42-minute deco stop because I was so
Wow.
deep for so long. They had prepared an extra tank for me on the surface, but I was doing a 42-minute stop that I managed to do and then get out of the water safely. But I promised myself that I will never do that again. And
You
then
live and you learn.
the other one was in the Sardine Run. We have a special event here in Baja. It's called the Mexican Sardine Run, where huge bait balls are being attacked by marlins, whales, dolphins, sea lions. And we jumped in this bait ball, and it was a pretty small bait ball surrounded by hundreds of stripped marlin and sailfish. And once the bait ball started breaking off, there was only like 5 to 10 little sardines left. And when there are a few left, they swim really fast to you to hide for protection. So one of the sardines went straight away to me and a guest, and it was in between our necks and behind us. And these three marlins were trying to get it between us. So the most important thing when something like this happens is remain calm, even though it can be very hectic. But I say this in my briefings, but this person started like splashing the water.
Yeah,
So
of
then
course.
it was all covered in bubbles. So I couldn't see the marlins or I couldn't see the sardine until last second. I could grab the sardine and throw it really far away. And then the marlins ate it and it was fine, but it was pretty hectic.
I can imagine. And for the last question, I would like to ask you if did you see, someone is asking, did you see many sharks, or I would say also just marine life in general, affected by overfishing or unsustainable fishing, at least where you are based, of course?
100%. Like
Mhm.
100%. We um in the last couple of years, we've seen a change in the amount of animals that we see during the time that they are allowed to to do
Mhm.
shark fishing.
Mhm.
There are some years that we can see more or less, but definitely we can see how it's been reduced, the amount of animals that we see. For example, the mobile arrays. I remember 4 or 5 years ago that we will see millions of mobile arrays, and now we only see one little patch of hundreds, sometimes one day a week. But in the past, it used to be so many patches of thousands, and all the boats will be spread around, having an opportunity to see this beautiful event. And now it's just like all boats sharing this small patch of mobilas. Also, because there is a lot of people that is purchasing it inside Mexico, like Mexico City, Guadalajara, and all the cities. They're buying this to make like Caguamanta tacos is a plate here, a dish that they do inside Mexico. So we're hoping that that changes because it definitely has an impact on it, but also a positive one. Revillagigedo National Park is a huge protected area, and I've been going every single year for the last 4 years. And every time I go, I see more big animals because you can see the repercussions on how the ocean can bounce back when it's
Mhm.
given a little bit of a breeze.
That's beautiful also to know this little bit. And sorry, very, very last question. They're asking me what is the maybe last tip that you could give for oceanographic itself, like to become a photographer underwater. What is the main thing, or maybe even equipment, or what to look for, where to
Mm.
start?
Where to start? Well, get a camera for
Yeah,
sure. You
yeah,
will need
for
a
sure.
camera for that, but it doesn't have to be like an expensive one. I had a GoPro for many years, actually, maybe a little bit too long. But I started practicing with the GoPro to also do video and photo editing. So I
Okay.
think 50% of the job is to capture the image, and the other 50% is how you perform it or how do you display it. So it's very important to get at one of those, and also try to never impact marine life for the shot. Your goal as an underwater videographer or photographer, the responsibility that you have is to learn how to blend in with the ecosystem instead of disrupt it. You want to make sure that whenever you position underwater, you go into a place of invitation for marine life to come towards you instead of disruption. You don't want to go towards the animal to get a shot. Sometimes we need to get closer to get the shot that we're looking for, but maybe you can position yourself in a way that the animal will come towards you instead of you going towards them.
Absolutely. And thank you actually for this very last bit. It's so important for us to understand that they're just, not pollute that we could freely or touch or like go very close to. They really need their space and their habitat to be protected. And so when we want to encounter them, we really need to learn by divers like you to make sure that their habitat is protected. And so now I would like to share with you a video of David Attenborough to just give to all of us a little moment of pause and to give us a little of food for thoughts. And so let's see what he has to share with us. And
understand the most...
Sorry for a second. And sorry, it's the okay. And can you now hear me well? Okay, sorry for that last bit, but luckily we had the caption on, so you could read through it. And if you'd like, I can also share the video with you. And basically, it says, yeah, it was at David Attenborough that said, after 100 years of living on this planet, what he really understood is that the most important bit of life is actually on the ocean, at sea, and not on land. And I'd say that this is really the main thing that we've understood also today, that in order to have to be more close to the ocean, we need to understand how also everything is interlinked, because the ocean does not start by the coast. It really starts from everywhere, from our houses, from the food that we eat, from also the streets, and it really starts everywhere, and we are so interconnected to it. And then I would like to continue the presentation by leaving the floor again to Olivia so that she can talk to you about the 7-step framework towards becoming an eco-school.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Excuse me. And I think I was really excited to share with you this new course that we have on FEE Academy, because it will show you, if any teachers, anyone working, any educators, people working in schools, it will show you about our education approach, which is a project-based learning approach that we enact through the 7 Steps framework. But if you're also doing the LEAF program, if you're doing the YRE, Young Reporters for Environment program, these are also project-based learning approaches. So please do go along to the FEE Academy course. Someone might put that, I can put a link in the chat to join there. It's there already. Thank you. This course will take you through how to do project-based learning through eco schools in your own school. The lovely thing about this course is it's not led by us. It's led by 7 different eco schools. So we have green flag eco schools all the way around the world, and these are 7 of them where the teachers, the students, the families who are involved are talking through the projects, the program step by step. So please do go along and join this course. It's a free course. It will take a few hours to go through. We also have an introductory course as well, which it will link you to if you want to do just a shorter course. But please do. Looking forward to having you join us on that course.
Thank you so much, Olivia. And as we are ending today's webinar, I'd like also to connect to it with letting you know that next we're going to have our Water Explorer Ocean booklet that is free for everybody to download and to do the activities that are in it. And it will be soon shared. And everybody can do it. It's not only for the people that live by the sea, it's really for everywhere you are, every single age you have. It's for everybody, because it's so important for us at FEE, the connection to our ocean and protecting our waters. So I would like to thank you so much for coming to today's webinar, and we're going to see you soon. And thank you so much, Alex and Olivia, for joining us today.